Hey y'all, this your girl Sonja, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Today I have with me former NFL players Jamion Spencer and Cedric Donaldson. Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Sonja?
I
Great.
am well. You're great.
Great.
Sid, I hadn't talked to you this year. How's the family?
Oh man, we're growing.
Y'all pregnant again?
Oh no, not that growing.
Oh, man.
Oh.
I'm saying congrats.
Don't do me like that, boss.
I mean, it's a lot of Kobe babies around here, so.
Hey, yeah, we're not that growing. Hey, but yeah, we're growing size-wise, age-wise.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's been all good though.
That's good. And Jameion, I know you're at soccer practice right now, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Living the life.
Living the life. So, well, it's been a minute since we've spoken, but thanks, guys, for joining me today to talk about Super Bowl 55. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the NFL's reigning champs, Kansas City Chiefs, which are meeting this Sunday, February 7th in Tampa, which is your old team, Jamie. And so, I got to, I want to know later on. Huh?
Answer it.
Yeah.
That's right, sis. You should, both of y'all. Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
I forgot about that. So I kind of got a feeling who y'all going for. So.
Nope.
Okay, don't tell me yet.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell me yet. So, as you know, this is our first and hopefully last COVID-19 Super Bowl. Very minimum fans, face masks, not the kind that you guys are used to wearing. And we had quite a few players who were affected by this virus throughout the season, making many, including myself, thinking we wouldn't even make it to the Super Bowl. Then earlier this week, Chiefs center Daniel Kilgore and wide receiver DeMarcus Robinson were placed on the NFL's reserve COVID-19 list. So Andy Reid didn't sound overly concerned about this, so hopefully they will be okay. What do you guys think regarding them?
I'm gonna let James go first because I'm a defensive player.
Well, I can tell you, it's, I had a chance to play for Andy, so, to not hear the panic in his voice is not a surprise because, Andy's not a panicker. He's not that type of guy. He's, I know he has some stuff up his sleeves, but I can tell you this much with, especially the O-line that's in a position like that. It's a critical component as far as communication amongst everybody. That's kind of where it all starts, So I know those guys don't have a plan to compensate and, account for it, if he's not available and whatnot. But I know that is something that you have to plan for. I mean, because it's all in the rhythm, it's all in the familiarity that you have with understanding what people are looking at and ensuring that everybody's on the same page to make it all work. And with the precision that they run their offense, man, it's going to be key that whoever is taking those guys' place is up to par.
Yeah, that's true. So, but we will see. I wish them well. I want both teams to be fully, as much as they can, safe and, healed so everybody can play, so it can be a fair game. So we'll see. But the last time the Chiefs and the Bucs met, it was November 29th of last year, and the Chiefs won that game in Tampa 27-24. Holmes threw for 462 yards, and he outplayed Tom Brady to win the fourth career matchup between the MVPs, completing 37 of 49 passes and holding the ball for more than 10 minutes without scoring on Kansas City's last two possessions to put the game away. Brady, on the other hand, was 27 of 41 for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pair of second-half interceptions and falling to 2-2 against Mahomes. So, I mean, we already know that was, that's regular season. This is the Super Bowl, and things can change immediately. Both of them, both MVPs have been in the Super Bowl and won. Tom, this is his 10th appearance, his possible 7th win. What did you say?
I said, and that in itself is amazing. I
That's
give it up to him, and
yeah,
that's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely amazing. And possibly his 7th win coming up this Sunday. Mahomes, this is his second time and his possibly his second win. So I want each of you to break down the matchup. Cedric, I'm going to start with you. Give me your analysis and also who you think will win in this matchup. And if you want to, you can give numbers.
Scores.
Yeah, scores.
Let me put it like this. I'm a certified Brady hater. Certified.
No, okay, I know you hate him because I'm not a fan either. But you got to.
I'm gonna be. So the last 2 years, Tom Brady has thrown an interception to end New England's, chances of moving on. Right? Mm-hmm. People forget all about that. Last week he threw 3 interceptions in the second half to give the Green Bay Packers a chance to get back in the game.
Yep.
But that's all you hear about is how he's taken Tampa to the Super Bowl. It drives me crazy. I'm a defensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's defense is what got them to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And being at number 45 is from LSU from Tampa, Devin White. I'm a huge Devin White fan.
Okay.
You know how you are fanboys of guys that come from your school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Taram, the Honey Badger, is my number 1 guy, and Devin White is my number 2 guy of all time. Like I'm truly fans of theirs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Honey Badger got his last year, and if Tom Brady wasn't on the Bucs team, I'll be cheering for Devin White. But I'm going with my homeboy and the Kansas City Chiefs, man. I think it's probably be like, I would say 32-21.
Really?
Yeah.
So as far as this last game they played in November, you're pretty much thinking it's going to be the same. It's going to be like kind of.
I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to do as much as people think they are. I think the Chiefs' defense is going to make a couple plays on Brady, and that's going to give them a 7 to 10 point advantage. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Brady's going to do his thing. He's probably going to get 3 touchdowns or whatever, but I think he's going to give up 1 or 2.
Okay, and I saw him today on, I think it was SportsCenter, I'm not sure, and he was saying that he's possibly not even retiring. He said he may go 2 more years. So
he probably could go 5 if he don't take hits like he did this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
makes a difference.
So Jay, what are your thoughts?
So I'm going to tell you that I agree with that. I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but I have to absolutely stand up and applaud for the work he's put in, because I think nobody can doubt that he is in the conversation as being the GOAT, right? And the work he puts in and the level he takes it to has to be admired. I am along the same thoughts that really, if it weren't for Tampa Bay's defense and their special teams allowing him to play with half a field, you would have a completely different output right now, right? You'd have another team in the Super Bowl. But I think that is part of the genius and the how that Bruce Arians has brought that team together as well, and people don't necessarily see a lot of what Bruce does. You see him on the sideline, you see it, but when you talk about somebody who, like Andy, can put those pieces together and put people in the right positions and empower those coordinators to do their things, then you get to see how functional these teams can become, right? It allows him to cue out refs and everything else, and allows the coordinators to kind of just let those guys do what they're supposed to do. B. Left and the rest of that crew over there, man, you have to absolutely give it up to them. But I'm amongst I'm kind of like the same way. I think it'll be I think it's going to be similar score wise than what you saw in week whatever week that was that played. where you got probably like a 28-24 type score. But I think the difference is going to be the special teams. I think the special teams is going to make a huge difference in this game. Offensively, I think everybody's going to run up and down the field, but it's going to be hard for teams to score. Kansas City's, these Stags and those guys have done something remarkable with that defense on the Kansas City side. Chris Jones and those dudes up front, their D-line, they're monsters, right? Like said, I'm a Devin White fan. Always been. I've always thought he was a fantastic-looking kid, and I love the way he plays the game, right? Only Badger did not give it up to. I go out there and I look at the ways that those guys bring that energy to the field, and that it's going to be a matter of who makes the first mistake that is going to make the difference in the game. And that's why I say whoever plays with the shortest field is really going to have the advantage in this game. So I'm kind of looking for, a 28-21, but I think Chiefs is still going to pull it out.
Okay, and I agree with all that you guys are saying. I was thinking 21-27. That's what I'm thinking as well. However, Tom, even like said, you mentioned earlier in the Green Bay game, he pretty much was like gave them a chance to win that game with the interceptions and everything. What's going on with that part? With the interceptions, because I never seen him throw a lot of interceptions like that with the Patriots.
Well, if you go back, he's had a lot of years where he's thrown just as many interceptions as he did this year.
I guess it didn't seem like it.
Yeah, it just the Patriots make it, the way they played or whatever. It didn't really matter. But the reason why he throws interceptions is if you get pressure on him, it's only two things he can do: take the sack or try to get rid of it. And so when you put pressure on a immobile quarterback, pressure busts pipes. And so that's why he would throw so many interceptions. He's had a lot of years where he had 12, 10, 12, 13 interceptions a year.
I guess I'm paying attention because I don't fool with the Patriots, and so I know I'm not. I never really. I guess it's more open. Eye-opening now because he's in Tampa.
Yeah.
So everybody's watching him for real, because it's like, let's see if you're going to do the same thing you did in New England, and bam, here we are in the Super Bowl again. So,
yeah. But another thing, though, New England would go a whole game without running the ball. So he threw it a lot more times.
True.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm going with the Chiefs. It's time for new blood. I'm ready. I want to see Mahomes get another ring. So that's who I'm rolling with. So we all are rolling with Chiefs on this one.
And it hurts my heart, man, because I'm a Bruce Arians fan too, man. Like, if anybody deserved to win, I want, Bruce deserves to win, man.
So if Tampa wins, y'all won't be mad though, right?
Nah, I won't be mad.
Nah, I won't be mad, man. Nah. You have to respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually be kind of excited about it.
Especially since both of you played for him, so yeah.
Yeah.
They left us unemployed, though, man. So
they did. They did.
Well, on the flip side of it, though, man, I played with EB, with Jamion, and Andy was his first year in Philly, so, that's why I seen them like, Andy's had hard road too, and he put in work. So, you look at it either way, you can't be mad at either side, whoever wins the game. You're happy for those guys, but it's definitely going to be, I think, very interesting matchup.
Yeah, for me, if Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback of the Bucs, like I would watch this game and wouldn't care who won. But my hatred for Tom Brady,
exactly.
But it comes from my love for Bill Belichick. Like I love Bill Belichick, man.
I kind of like him.
Yeah, and I think people give him they want to trash him right now because of what's going on with but Brady is not Brady without Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
So
they were a match unfortunately, they weren't made in heaven. They just didn't know it until they got it together. But and no one thought it would really work until it did.
Until it did.
Yeah,
It kept working.
Yep. So they were almost the same person, but one was in uniform in being, and it was really kind of funny to watch him leave New England, because I often was like, who else could he play for? And I guess in the grand scheme of it, I couldn't see him playing for anybody else other than like a Bruce or Andy, somebody who kind of has that same level of football knowledge that Bill does, So that's hard to walk away from and really be motivated every day to go out and match that same level of competitiveness and intellect when you bring it out there. So
exactly. And one thing that Bruce Arians did, and he said it in his interviews, you don't bring Brady in and put him in a new system. You let Brady teach the system that he's been in. So he's another coach. He's essentially another coach on the staff. He came in, and I know B left as the offensive coordinator and all that, but you best believe Brady is establishing the offense.
Oh yeah.
So
he is definitely playing a part in that. I agree with you on that. And speaking of Belichick, let me ask you, and this is totally off Super Bowl, but what are y'all thoughts on Cam? Is he done?
He should be done in New England.
I'm saying, but is he done? Is he? Do you think it's kind of over for him?
I think he can go to another team and do better. But yeah, he's downhill though. Like as a quarterback, you can't take that beating. That he's big, man. But I don't care how big you are. You can't be back there and take those type of hits for a very long time and sustain.
Yeah, he'd have to change some things in order to extend the life of his career. Like I said, he's taking a beating. He's taking a beating in this, right, wrong, or indifferent. Kind of like the Shaq rule. I think he's so physically imposed and refs were less to protect him as much when he was taking those beatings. And I mean, it's showing now.
Yeah, and that was definitely the wrong place for him to go. I think New England exposed him more than So I hate it for him, but he made a lot of money. You'll be all right.
And yeah, you're right, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun, yeah.
His situation.
Yeah, I'm hoping Chicago picks him up. I know they won't, but I think it's a nice place for him.
It would. I like Chicago, but I think I don't know, man. I think he might go home. I think he might go to Atlanta.
Interesting.
Very interesting. That owner is like, he understands the relationship between his team and that city. And they didn't get behind Matty Ice like they got behind Michael Vick.
Yeah.
So you need that type of person back in there. Deshaun Watson is that type of person.
Yeah.
That's gonna get him going. So
we shall see. I'm interested to see where he's gonna go. And before we move on, Jamion, are you doing Super Bowl food Sunday?
We were just talking about Super Bowl food and trying to figure out what we're going to put on the menu. Now, if it was up to me, I'd probably try to cook everything I could think of. But I think it's going to be up to T to kind of reel me in, to maybe pull me back a little bit.
Well, this year is my first vegan for real vegan Super Bowl. So,
is that a thing?
Yeah.
What?
We had my friend Dolores at work. She actually made a whole bunch of Super Bowl food last year, and it was delicious to the point where everybody was leaving their their food coming over to our food. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And so, I mean, she is really good. So I'm going to have I have this vegan cheese sauce. I'm going to do my rotel, whatever, y'all. And I'm going to fry some oyster mushrooms. That'll be my chicken strips. And hello, are y'all there?
Yeah, we here.
Yeah, we here.
I'm trying to see this in my head. Like, I'm like, what?
That's all right. I'm going to take pictures and I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I was actually getting kind of hungry.
Yeah, please do.
See, now you know what? Jamion will eat it. Jamion, he'll eat some.
I will eat it too. Like, I'm not turning. It's only two things I don't eat. Like, and that's watermelon and I don't even know what the other one is. But but I'm not that person that say, hey, I ain't never ate it before, so I ain't trying it. I'm eating.
So y'all Mikey. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
Jamie. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking pictures, and I probably have to bring some to work, Jay. So I'll bring you some Monday.
Awesome.
Look, he like awesome. So anyway, I can't stand him. So last week we heard some we're gonna switch gears. I mean, this is kind of not a happy story. But last week, we heard some very disturbing allegations against former Seattle Seahawks Chad Wheeler. He was accused of beating his girlfriend and choking her unconscious. She alleged that when she came to, Wheeler was sitting next to her eating and said, I thought you were dead, which is, I can't even imagine. But anyway, thank God she's alive and able to tell the story. He's being charged with first-degree domestic violence assault, which is a felony, domestic violence, unlawful imprisonment, a felony, and resisting arrest, a misdemeanor. Now, it's been reported that Wheeler is bipolar and was not taking his meds. Of course, you know, Jay, I know you're not really on social media, but said social media was abuzz regarding this story, and many want street justice because they feel Wheeler will get a slap on the wrist because he's white and because of his alleged mental state.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Jamion, on the situation?
Well, you know, I'm gonna tell you first off, it's a tragedy on many levels. You know, when you talk about mental health wellness for not only athletes, but just society in general. I mean, it's a very serious neglected topic that it's been taboo for years, and I think even though now people are getting a little more upfront about it, it's still something that we don't have full control or understanding of. I hate that it has to come to that for him and his girlfriend, wife, whatever, to go through that in itself, or it has to come to that before you get some level of understanding, recognition, and help for it. It's the tragic end that you always don't want to see. I think with the exposure that social media gives you into your private lives, it does become problematic for people to truly understand the root cause behind it. Because we can say mental illness and we can say a lot of these different things, but there are a lot of other items there that we may or may not understand that have led up to that specific incident. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And I think that those guys really need to get to the point where they can level set, get an understanding as to where they need to be in the future, and try to help build each other to get there. I mean, because life is a very funny thing, man. It's one of the precious commodities we have, and you'll never get that time back. And if you squander it away, man, it'll be taken away from you before you know it.
That's
right.
True.
Yeah. I'm new to this, having females like in my family that were, how can I say, that I feel I have to protect. Like I had female cousins and all that, but they'll put their hands on you. You know what I mean?
Right. Not no.
So yeah. So now I have these two little girls, and I'm thinking like as a dad, when I see that happen to her, what is her dad thinking? As he goes through the judicial system, and they say, hey, well, you just need some counseling because you got a mental. Have y'all seen American Sin yet?
I have not. I've been told that I need to watch it though.
You need to watch it. I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but it's a point in there where the dad just felt helpless. He was listening to everything going on the TV, and he was like, "Man, this happened to my kid." Like, and he said, "I ain't SHIT, you know, like I can't do nothing about it, so I ain't that. I don't know how I would deal with that." And so I hope everybody gets to see that movie, man, so they can see where you're leaving, like her side of the family. When you don't do enough to him to really punish him or whatever it is to curb his thinking, want to do that again to somebody else, like you're leaving the family over here feeling like you have no choice. And I know for me, having two little girls, Lord help somebody if they do that to, you know, to my kids, and I feel like the laws didn't do enough to make it right. You know what I mean?
And that's it. It's a tough call too, because you know, even when you're sitting on that side and you're looking at your kid doing this, I mean, at a certain point you have to ask yourself, at what, you know, how do I help break this cycle of, you know, doing or being done to? How am I a victim or being victimized by this need or call for help too, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, even if you take your kid out of the situation or you get to the point where you say, hey, look, you need to walk away, you know, how does that help the next person, right? How does that help that individual get the help they need? You know, it's a tough call because, I mean, when you truly care about somebody, you know, even if it's your kid or not, I mean, it's very hard to walk away from them and say, you know, I'm not going to be there for you, or, you know, or at least try to do something.
Yeah.
And you know, you made a valid point, valid statement, Jamion. So, and I was going to mention that as far as like, you know, Seattle, as soon as it happened, they were like, you know, oh, we've cut ties with him. Shouldn't, I mean, that was his employer. Shouldn't they at least have tried to do more for him as far as like trying to get him some help, or, you know, it's like, and I don't know if they've done that, but, you know, just from what I read last week, they just cut ties with them altogether. And
that in itself is the, you know, when you ask about, you know, any of that stuff, and that question specifically, Sonja, is the dark side of the NFL that no one likes to talk about.
right.
You know, when you talk about the supplemental or the transitional services, active player, no matter if you're a superstar or not, yeah, you feel like the organization has an obligation, but in reality, you would be shocked how quickly ties are broken when you're not producing, right? When you're not part of that 53 man and putting butts in those seats and selling jerseys and making appearances and being part of a organization or representing that organization, how quickly those support services are diminished from you. You know, and even, you know, bodies like the NFLPA and all that stuff, yes, we should do more to help transition a lot of these players because, you know, the reality of it is when you finish playing your career in the grand scheme of life is a very small percentage of what you got to do. And to understand what you need to do to live the rest of your life, man, it takes some guys a while to figure out. You know, they need a little more support.
That's true.
But I can tell you that's one of the things that, you know, people don't like to talk about. But organizations are going to say, hey, I can only do so much. But, you know, in reality, I don't think they're really interested in doing much more.
Nah. The quicker they can wash their hands of it and move on, you know, with the way the media runs now, like as the days go by, everybody forget about it.
That's true.
But you still have the person there dealing with all of the depression, which a lot of them, you know, I ain't gonna say them, but a lot of us, because I know I went through it. And I realized I was going through it. I was going through it before my time was even up. I was going through it as I was finishing up. Like I saw my time coming, and so I knew I couldn't afford to have a day off. So when Miami was the last team I was with, when they cut me for the last time, I drove directly from Miami to Baton Rouge and got back in school and started working on my other career. Like, I didn't want any time to have to think about it.
Right.
And that worked for me. That's not going to work for everybody. Some people need time to ponder, but I didn't need idle time on my hands. So.
Yeah. And it's different. I mean, and like I said understood what he needed to do, especially, like you said, going straight from Miami. But you think about how many people make all those stops between Miami and Baton Rouge, right?
Yeah.
How many years later it takes you to get to Baton Rouge? And that's a metaphor for a lot of guys. But that journey, man, it can be scary. It can be scary. And, in the grand scheme of it, if you remember, it wasn't that many years ago we were just talking about the linebacker at Kansas City that, was having an episode and, killed his fiance, in a Ellis raid in the middle of the night,
Sure did.
That was in itself something that, we looked at and we said, oh my God, it was such a tragedy. And, this young black, he killed himself, but, what are the things that led up to that? Like you said, the depression, the hit, the pressure that's on them. I mean, it's real. It's very real.
That's true. So do you think people with mental illnesses, because it was reported that he had stopped taking his meds, so do you think people with mental illnesses should be held accountable when they do not take their meds and harm someone? And that's a hard one. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And before you answer, I have a Facebook friend, and I actually know her personally. Which I commend her. She has talked about her mental illness on social media. I believe she's bipolar, I think. But it's funny. Maybe last week she actually posted. She was like, I don't want to take these meds. And me and some more people immediately was like, I was like, sis, you need to take your medicine. She was like, I don't like how it makes me feel. But they are, some of them, and according to her, they are aware when they say they don't want to take their meds. So when I saw that, and when I, with this situation, because the argument is going to be, well, he has a mental illness, and, he shouldn't be held accountable because he didn't take his meds, but should he?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
It's a tough call, but I have to tell you this much. I mean, and it's a very sensitive subject, but at a certain point, every decision you make has some level of accountability to it, and the level of accountability has to be determined by someone. We can't speak for circumstance or anything else, but when you look at it all, when you make that conscious decision that I don't want to take these meds, I think that you are, again, putting a known risk into a situation. I mean, just like, when you put those Pop Rocks in the Coke and you shake it up, something is bound to happen.
Right.
Yeah. only like somebody from North Louisiana can say.
Right. Where did that come from, Jamion?
He took us there with that one, man. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Look, I'm thinking, wait. I was like, oh, yeah, this is about to be it.
Oh, look, it's about to be on.
Oh, my gosh, I love it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were being serious. My bad. Go ahead, Jay.
No, but I think my point is that, really, yes. I mean, there has to be some level of accountability. You hope that, the circumstances isn't dire to the point where, lives are lost or anything like that. But,
right.
You have to have some level of accountability. I mean, if your medicine is part of your life, your functional life, then, when you sabotage it to the point and you don't take those meds, I mean, and I get it that, sometimes you just don't feel like going through it or it makes you feel like a certain way, but understand that that's a very small sacrifice in the grand scheme team of understanding, your time and your ability to function is outweighs that short-term uncomfortability.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. And well, she did say she took them. So my the girl on social media. So I'm thankful for that. But I do pray that he gets the help he needs. He'll be arraigned on February 9th. So we would definitely continue following this story. And I pray that she moves on and get away from him. He needs to get help, and that's it. I'm not saying get help and then go back. No, he needs to get help, and you need to just, go just live and let him do what he needs to do. So we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, man, I want to wrap that around to a Super Bowl story. So everybody know the Honey Badger. He's my favorite guy. From LSU or whatever. But just think about his story. It's different than this guy because he was only destroying himself. Like he wasn't hurting anybody else with what he was doing. But just think about how Bruce Arians reached out to him when everybody else was about to throw the kid away.
Right.
So, in that situation, this guy he's actually hurting other people though. So it makes it's different. But I'm not of the cancel culture. You know what I mean? I don't want people to be thrown away for life. I just want a fair assessment or punishment or whatever it is, and then let's work to, try to make them better.
Exactly.
And I just hope they can figure out a way to to get that done. If the man really has, if he has a problem, they should really figure out a way to get it better, man. Because the Honey Badger turned out to be a pretty good citizen, and it was only because Bruce Arians saw fit to take a chance on him.
That's true.
And you can also mention Mark Cuban with West. What's
Yeah, Devontae West.
Yeah, he is. He picked him up off the street in Dallas, took him to a rehab, and not only is he working on, still recovering, however, he is working at the rehab place right now.
Yeah.
So, it's very, you made a valid point. It's very important for people, they love you when you're making the money, throwing the touchdowns and slam dunks and winning the championship. But where are you in those dark hours when a lot of them are having issues?
Yeah.
And if Mark Cuban hadn't saw him on the street, he probably, because he looked really bad. I don't know if you saw the pictures.
Yeah, I saw it.
He could be dead right now. I mean, it's rough out there, and it's a lot of mental illness going on, and people need to talk about it and go get therapy and get some help. So it's really important. So yeah, you're right. I mean, that's absolutely right. It's very important for that to happen. But before I let you guys go, we talked about it briefly. I talked about it briefly with both of you guys individually, but what are your thoughts on Deion Sanders coming to JSU? When we talked in September, everything was not in place, but now he has the coaching staff, and, the team is practicing for a possible 2021 opening game. How do you think Coach Prime will fare in his first season with the Tigers?
I want to start this, man, because the last time we talked, we had no idea that Jackson State was in line for Deion Sanders, but we talked about what HBCUs needed to do in order to get players such as James coming from Washita or whatever. Like Jackson State did exactly what we were talking about.
Yep. I mean, we had that whole conversation, y'all.
Yeah.
Back in June or something? Yeah.
Yep. So Jackson State did exactly what we were talking about, man. Like, you can't tell a kid, all right, you got a chance to go to Notre Dame, LSU, Florida State, all this, and I'm going to get a below-average coach or whatever and barely pay him $15,000, but I want you to come risk all that to play over here. So Jackson State put all the chips on the table. They shot way above the moon.
Yeah.
To get a coach like Deion, and Deion he's not recruiting kids for Jackson State. Like Deion recruiting athletes, period.
Yeah.
No matter. Do you think being like at Washita or me being at Provine? Well, Jackson State recruited me when I was at Provine, but like Deion is gonna come see you. You 2 hours away. He's gonna come see you at Washita. You're not Grambling. I think it was Grambling. You said didn't offer you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
Right
crazy.
there. Right there. Never even.
But you know what? And not to cut you off, said what you just said. When Jamie, we talked about this story. It's amazing how his marketing skills is like so innovative right now. Because of COVID, he's doing it online.
Yeah.
He's doing it via social media. That has never been done. And these kids are, they're all for it because that's how they communicate.
Yeah. But
So,
I ain't gonna say the closest person to ever do it, like Deion is doing it, but he didn't do it to that extent. He's at Ole Miss right now.
Right, yeah, but I'm saying, it's not to that extent because this is the only way it can be done right now, actually.
Yeah. Well, Lane was just lazy. Lane didn't want to go out and visit. Hey, but it worked for him though. Like it worked for him because he, kids feel like they actually know him without him even seeing them. And Deion, everybody know Deion from being Deion, but man, he's killing it right now. And as far as his season, I'm not gonna put too much on him this spring. I want to say this, and I hope people understand, man. If Deion go 5-5, and Jackson State raised $50 million for their school, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
And that's what I said, that they was gonna go 5-5. That's what I said. I told a friend that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I want people to understand. Like,
I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's what you want. I mean, over time he'll build a winning team or whatever. But man, let that man come build a program before you start talking about, winning.
And I completely agree. I mean, like I said, this is what they had to do, in my opinion, in order to compete, because it's going to capture the attention of kids. Yes. I mean,
say that again, Jamie. I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, say it again.
Say it again. We can barely hear you. Say it again.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was saying that. I'm like I said, that's exactly what Jackson State needs to do. Is put that big name out there, make it splash, and then let them build it from there.
Exactly.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And even because of this, like we said, it's HBCUs are getting so much attention right now, to the point ESPN to put HBCU culture and focus on First Take HBCU Game Day. I posted that on my She Say Sports today, and that says a lot.
Yeah.
We are getting the exposure, and these kids, they're coming home, and that's what I wanted all along. Just come home, and I know that's not everybody can't come home. I get it, but at least give the HBCUs a first, give them a look. Come in, visit, take a tour and check it out. Don't just immediately go to Power 5. So
yeah,
I'm excited about it.
Well, I think it's gonna bring a whole lot of other big names to the HBCU coaching. The coaching. Just think about this, man. All right, fam. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna get up. Fam, you just think. What if they brought in a Derrick Brooks coach over there? You know what I mean? And Grambling. You know what I mean? Who is somebody from North Louisiana? Well, it ain't got to be from North Louisiana. Just, man, it'll be like they could have their own reality show for, it'll be crazy, man.
It'll be crazy. Yeah, and there is talks about a possibly reality show. What's the name of it used to be on BET, College Hill?
Yeah, College Hill.
They're talking about, revising that and, Jackson State being the center of the show. You know, Dion, he dates what's her name?
You're talking about my ex back in the day.
Oh, your ex, not Babyface ex.
Yeah,
Okay,
in my head.
You said in my head.
Yeah, in my head.
I can't think of her name right now. But you know, she's a producer, so they're talking about possibly doing that. And
Tracy Edmonds.
And Jamion, you mentioned something months ago when we talked about this, and you said, "Will black schools be ready?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think because of what's going on, because you know they've made a whole bunch of changes at Jackson State in regards to you know, the athletic department. They, you know, they renovating, they adding stuff, and so they're making things,
Yeah, I'm saying that's exactly it. Because again, you know, and I have to ask the question, you know, what took you so long to do it, right? I mean,
no money.
I get it. Well, we can say that, and I get it. But you know, if you don't act like it, if you don't believe it, nobody will, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, the thing about it, Dion is a Hall of Famer for being Dion, not for being a championship coach, not for being somebody that's going to recruit you. He's a name. Now, the brand that he's going to build is still going to have JSU's name on it, right? And that's why I say these HBCUs are going to have to be ready. Because, yes, you're going to have the man, the myth, the legend, but you got to remember, it's going to be your arena that's going to make the difference. It's going to make the break this grand experiment, right?
Yep.
If he does well these 2 years, how many people are going to come try to scoop him up?
Yep.
That's true.
You know?
And I want to say this about the no money thing. You got to think about, like, the people over in Africa that's, you know, living on the land with the diamonds, right? And the diamonds might be 10 feet in the ground, and they'd be like, hey, we know the diamonds down there. It's ours. It's on our land, but we ain't got the money to dig it. Dude, you gotta
find a way.
Y'all better preach.
You gotta go get them diamonds, man.
You gotta go get them.
And that's what HBCUs have been doing for a long time. But like, man, we ain't got the money to compete. Hey, dude, figure out a way, because these diamonds are on your land.
That's true. Now that'll preach. You're absolutely right. But it's amazing. It took him to come here. And, you know, his slogan is, I believe.
I believe.
I believe. And now people are believing. And I think we needed that little boost because, you know, y'all know Jackson State been down for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
7 years. It's been rough. And so we needed that little boost of energy to kind of like get ourselves together. And, I mean, he's making some changes. So I agree. You just got to dig for the diamonds. So
yeah. And the last thing is this, man. Just think Cadillac, you know, partner with Jackson. Cadillac partner with
because
Jackson
of Dion.
State, man. Because of Dion.
Yeah.
So we already know we are the biggest consumers in America, right?
Yeah.
And so I
you
think
mean black people, correct?
Yeah, black people. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, like, say, like Under Armour or Nike or anybody, right? Say Jackson State can't afford a Dion salary. We know Dion took a super pay cut to coach at Jackson State. But what would it hurt Under Armour to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put $500,000 a year into Dion's, you know, salary or whatever.
Or for him being able to get coaches, better coaches.
Yeah, for him to get better coaches or whatever, because they know we gonna buy up some Under Armour stuff.
Absolutely, look, that's true. And I've been anti-Under Armour for a long time.
Yeah,
that is true.
So it's plenty of ways to do it, man. You know, and I got to give the young brother Ashley, what's his name, Robinson?
Ashley Robinson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to give him credit, man, for even having that type of vision.
Yeah, for him to even have, you know, the balls to even,
for real,
make it happen.
Yeah.
So
even think about making it happen.
You're right.
So
yeah, you're right.
I'm ready, man. I'm excited. You know, I'm ready to see what's gonna happen.
Are y'all coming to the game? February 21st.
I will.
Jamion.
Actually, I am. I'm actually going to some games. Me and JK and just talking about going to some games. So
okay.
And we especially gonna go when they play Alabama and A&M because that's the system.
Oh, that's right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right.
Have to go root against A&M.
Well, that they're not letting us tailgate, but any other time, we'll be out there, man. I go to more Jackson State games than I go to LSU games. So any Saturday, you can find the Big Blue RV by the bus stop.
Oh, I've been here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jay, well, shoot, both of y'all be cooking. Yeah, that food is on point. So yeah.
Well, I'm the taste tester. So.
Well, I personally be doing the cooking.
Yeah.
Percy and Shannon.
Yeah, Pika, Shannon, Jack, Greg, everybody else, and I show up just in time to eat.
The baby boy.
Oh, yeah.
One of the baby boys. Y'all, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been a true pleasure. I miss talking to y'all, so it'll be, we probably have to get one in the next quarter. Something be going on, so we'll have to talk.
Well, just let us know, man. Tell Jamie to quit stealing our defense coordinators.
Gotta make moves. Gotta make moves. Look.
Oh yeah, no. Before we go, so talk about that real quick.
So the number one defense coordinator coming out this year, he coached at Cincinnati, and LSU jumped on him early because we fired our defense coordinator.
Which y'all fired in the first place, but that's another story.
Yeah, he was trash. Yeah. But so we fired him, and legend has it that he told LSU's coach that he's coming, and then he went home and he told his team like he's going to LSU. But then he got six kids, and he's from the Midwest. And his wife was like, I'm just not with really moving all the way down to Louisiana like that if Notre Dame could make the salary similar. And Notre Dame jumped that money up, man. And stole them.
All I'm going to tell you is this. We went and got our diamonds. We didn't wait for nobody else.
They ain't wait. That's what I'm saying, man.
Y'all got y'all diamonds.
Hey, dug it, man. They dug. Hey, he a diamond too, Pimp. He's one of the great up and coming coaches, man. So I'm eager to see how he's gonna do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean they dug a little deeper. They dug a little deeper.
Hey, but we went and got a young brother, Durante Jones from Minnesota, man. He doesn't have a whole lot of history as a defense coordinator, but from what I hear, he's a young defensive mind in the game, and so we're gonna give him a shot, man. So hopefully it work out.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you again for joining me today, and everyone else, you can follow me. She Say Sports on Facebook. She Say Sports 23 on Instagram. And that is my show for today. Until next time, this is Sonja with She Say Sports, and I'll see you on the radio.